Will the Sony A7 III survive 2020? I don't know. Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? My name is Chris, and in this video, we're gonna be talking about one of my favorite cameras I've ever owned, the Sony A7 III. And I wanna get real. I wanna talk about what I've learned throughout almost 2 years of using it, the good, the bad, should you buy it in 2020, and what can you expect? So for those of you who don't know, I'm a freelance filmmaker here in South Mississippi, and I've been shooting almost everything up until the last month with nothing but my Sony A7 III. So basically, I have put this thing through the test of a lifetime. I've seen the good sides, the bad, I've seen improvements from the older models, and I just want to talk about, will it make it out to the end of 2020? Because being one of my favorite cameras, if you would have asked me a year ago, what camera should I get? What camera should I get? I would have, beyond the shadow of a doubt, said, just get the Sony A7 III. But times have changed. See, now there's a ton of fantastic options other than the Sony A7 III. And that was one of the best things I loved about it. Competition propels technology forward. And I think the Sony A7 III was groundbreaking for when it came out. It set a new standard for mirrorless cameras. To me, it just destroyed all of my older DSLRs, anything that I've owned previously. And it was just a dumb decision to not get the Sony. Every recommendation, I was like, yeah, get the Sony. Has excellent battery life, a full frame sensor, 4K internal recording, in-body image stabilization, and it could do 120 frames per second. For somebody who is on the go, a run and gun filmmaker, this was the all-in-one package for me. There's not enough good stuff that I can say about this camera. It has been potentially one of the best things I've ever owned in my life. It's made me a ton of money. It is fantastic, but there are some downsides. Recently, since I've been shooting with the Blackmagic and I've kind of expanded my knowledge beyond just being a Sony fanboy, I've noticed some of the downsides of the camera, such as the 4K at only 100 megabits per second. Now, this camera creates some super sharp, super crispy 4K footage. The only downside I've been seeing recently is if I try to grade my footage, that 100 megabits per second is not letting me go hardly anywhere. The only reason I even knew to step out of the comfort zone was because I've been shooting Blackmagic RAW recently. And oh my God, the color grading aspect, just pushing colors, anything that has to do with post-production, my eyes have been open and I see where this camera has been lacking. So I'm usually always shooting weddings, talking head videos, run and gun vlogs with this camera, and it's been fantastic. But I've noticed in some occasions that my 120 frames per second looks a little muddy. It looks not as sharp. And these are crazy nitpicks because it's really hard to tear this camera down because it is such an incredible package. Now, to this day, I'm still gonna recommend getting a Sony A7 III. Should you get it in 2020? To me, yeah, because to this day, it's still one of the best cameras that kinda does a little bit of everything. And that's why I've been holding on to it. Even though I've switched over to the Blackmagic and I've been shooting majority of my footage on that now, this thing still can pretty much do it all. It makes for a fantastic A or B camera to these client videos that I've been creating recently. And if I'm traveling, there is hardly nothing that can beat having a 28-75 full frame, 120 frames per second, 4K in-body stabilization camera on my side. It's such a small package. I really like this thing. I also do a lot of wedding photography, and this thing has been a great companion. One great thing about this camera is it can grow with you and you can push it very far. So this review isn't for somebody who's like super interested in buying the Sony. If you're interested, you're going to love this camera. But if you have the Sony, if you've grown with the Sony and you're thinking, maybe I should upgrade, you're probably just like me and your time is coming up and you are getting antsy. You're wanting a little bit more out of your next camera. 4K is becoming a lot more common. 6K and even 8K shooting recently. And I would love to see that in a Sony mirrorless camera, and I'm hopeful. And I'm hoping that one of the next generation of these cameras will just blow me out of the water. And if it does, you can guarantee I'm ordering it. So a big thing is, am I going to be leaving my Sony A7 III behind with the year 2020? Probably, yeah. So my goal personally is going to be to stick with the Sony family. I really like the stuff they do. I have already invested in a ton of lenses, but I'm interested to see the new Canon R5. I'm interested for competition to make these cameras better than what they are. 2 years with the Sony A7 III and it has been, yeah, pretty fantastic. And to be honest, I have absolutely no regrets. The gripes I have are yeah, they're nitpicky. There's something that I wouldn't have even seen until I stepped up to a better camera. But my eyes have been opened that there are better things out there. And with that all being said, that is a honest review of this camera. I love it. It has its flaws. The flaws are few, far and in between, but once you start getting into more and more professional work, you start to see why these hybrid cameras fall a little bit further behind. But they are getting exceptionally better. And I'm gonna be sticking with the A7 III as my daily camera for vlogging, running gun shooting, quick filmmaking, because it's just easier. But hopefully this is gonna be the year that I sell my Sony A7 III. And I'm super hopeful that it will be. And that's all I have for today, guys. I just want to give you my brutally honest thoughts about the Sony A7 III. I love the camera. A lot of stuff is great on it. The file handling, post-production could be better with this thing, but it is so hard to beat the price, especially pairing it with Tamron lenses. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you love this video, stick around, hit the subscribe button, because I'm gonna be bringing you more content just like this every week. So with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace.